What's up, guys? Cloxo7 here, and welcome to the 500 subscribers special, aka my Draw My Life. I'm sorry I had to push this back. I got sick, and finally I got some notebook paper, and I finally got the Draw My Life done. So without no further ado, let's hop into it. So it all started one day in '07 when I was born. I brought a lot of joy to my family members' lives that day. Then also, when I was around 1.5, 2 years old, my mom and dad split up. And something that my dad often told me, he said, "Son, at that point in me and your mother's lives, we were both young and dumb." So then me and my mom went to go live with my Nana and Pop Perk for a little while, which are my grandparents. And I just want to say I love my grandparents very, very much. Now, something did happen when I was 2 years old. I had to get rushed to the hospital twice in my life. The first time I was 2 years old, and my grandfather left out his diabetes meds. Now, a little 2-year-old me pulled myself up on the counter, and my mom walked in and see me pill in hand. And at that point, it was too late. I took the pill, and panic set in. My mom grabbed me and she threw me into the car and she rushed me to the hospital. And this drawing right here, as you can see here, I put hospital, not church. The reason why I say that is because this kind of looks like a cross. It's not supposed to be a cross. It's supposed to be a health cross. That's what it's supposed to be. I then had to take charcoal to get it flushed out of my sorry, someone was calling me, but I had to get charcoal, had to take it to get flushed out of my system, but I wasn't putting up with it. The nurse tried, and I was fighting it. I was being a brat that day, and it took me to take it for my mom to hold me like a baby and take it. And then my mom noticed something was off about me. When I was about 3 years old, I was not potty trained and I wasn't able to talk really good. And she got concerned. And one of her cousins said, "You should get him tested." And she got me tested, and I have autism, ADHD, insomnia, IBS, OCD, and depression. So, what autism is people make jokes about, like they say, "Oh, look at this guy, he's so stupid, ha 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 ha, look at his autistic, ah." Which autism is not a joke. It's not funny. It's basically when your brain is slowed down. Like it takes you a little bit to understand something. Like most people, it take them a week. It takes me about like 2 weeks to a month for me to fully get like a full grasp on it. ADHD is hyperattention deficit disorder. I had to take meds for that. I'm really bad with concentrating. Then I have insomnia, which means you sleep really crappy. There's been times where I went without sleep for days. And then I have IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And then I have OCD and depression. When I was 2 years old, I ended up meeting my stepdad, Ricky, and I thought he was the coolest guy alive. And the reason why was because he drove a F-250, and I thought it was a monster truck. And then something was off about me once again. I started having these really bad coughing fits when I was about 5.5, to the point where I could barely catch my breath. So my mom, concerned, rushed me back to the hospital, and it was back to the hospital we went. And it turns out I had this thing called bronchitis. And what bronchitis is when your bronchial tubes to your lungs are smaller when they're supposed to be. So they were to put a fish mask on me to do a breathing treatment, and I coughed so hard I threw up into the fish mask. I always said, I filled that thing up. It was disgusting. And I know for a fact that the nurses had to throw it away afterwards. There was no way of cleaning it out. And I just want to apologize for the nurses for that. I'm sorry, nurses. And then my life was going fine once again until we moved. I ended up going to this really bad school called Spook Hill. There at Spook Hill, they did not care about my autism. They did not care about my IEP. I often got left in dust and left behind, which caused me to fail my grades. Most of the time in class, I got so overstimulated to the point where I would cry and nobody could calm me down. And pretty much every day, my mom would have to drive down there and hug me and comfort me and try to calm me down the best that she could. So then my mom ended up finding the school called Victory Ridge Academy, and it was a really awesome school. It was school for mentally challenged kids like myself. And I ended up meeting two people that were big in my life there, and that was Mr. James and Lydia. Now, we're going to get into Lydia later on, but right now we're going to get into Mr. James. You see, I've always wanted to ride school bus growing up, but never had the chance till I was about third grade when I moved. And Mr. James was my bus driver, and Mr. James was a really Christian man. And at the time when I found out I had autism, I thought I was alone. I thought I was a weirdo. But Mr. James showed me otherwise. He told me how much Jesus loves me and him, and about how he has a plan, and how one day we will be reunited together with all of our family members in heaven. Mr. James was the hope and the light that I needed in my life. And even though my mental health was doing fine, my physical health was not. See, due to my meds, I had a lack of appetite, and due to that and me feeling full really often, I was losing weight at a concerning rate. You could even see my ribs through my skin at one point. And according to my dad, at one point, and my mom, believe it or not, you could see my heart beating outside of my chest. And because of this, my doctor thought the best thing was to put me on this protein shake called Pediasure. And Pediasure is nasty. I hated Pediasure. And it made my stomach feel weird half the time. But the one positive thing was I did gain a little bit of weight from it. And then we fast forward to my senior to my sophomore year, where my stomach problems started getting worse. I often woke up with horrible stomach pain from both my upper and lower part of my stomach, and I felt like I was going to be sick most mornings, and I did get sick most mornings. I almost had to miss my first day of my junior year because I was throwing up at the bus stop. I felt horribly sick. And then my mom took me to the doctors to see what was wrong, and it turned out I had IBS and acid reflux. Now, IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, like normal things that people could eat, like from McDonald's, that would upset their stomach, like a cheeseburger. If I eat that, I get really bad stomach cramps afterwards, and I only have a few minutes to find a bathroom. And then acid reflux, I get that really bad in the morning. I could literally eat anything. I could literally eat a salad before I go to bed for dinner. Like I could have a salad for 3 days, and it doesn't matter. My acid reflux is horrible in the morning. Eventually, I started begging my mom about my senior year to take me off my meds, and she finally said yes, so which meant no more medication. Yay! I was so happy. I was over the moon. So now we're going to get into the YouTube part of my life. I joined YouTube on July 4th of 2022. That was my sophomore year, believe it or not. I was about to start my sophomore year, and I decided to cosplay as a character named Tor. I got a couple likes and a few subscribers, nothing special. That was until I decided to switch over to clock collecting, because I found out how much I loved clocks. I loved clocks ever since I was little. I decided to start showing off my clock collection, and I started blowing up on YouTube. I started gaining subscribers really quickly. I gained 100 subscribers on my senior year, at the first part of my senior year. I also meeting really good people, such as Fernando, who is I Am Chaos Gaming, who is this gamer. And then I also met Epic Dev Productions, aka Devin, who is also a really good friend. Devin's one of my best friends, and so is JD. JD isn't a YouTuber, but I met him my senior year, and we both loved Beyblades. Well, these three people were very, very, very big parts of my life. And because I was gaining subscribers in my senior year, I thought I was too cool for school. I was like, man, school is lame. Who needs school? And boy, did that backfire. I started failing my classes. Look at me, thinking I'm so cool. You're not cool, Cloxo7. You're not. And because of this, it led me to skip class one day. And when my parents found out, they were very, very, very mad and disappointed in me. They were like, come on, you're better than that. And then something happened my senior year. And that was my mom picked me up one day, and my bus was late that day, and she told me that Mr. James passed away that day. I was crushed. I was devastated. I started crying, like really ugly crying at that moment. I was so devastated. I ended up going to the funeral with my mom and my stepdad and my little sister and my little brother, and when I saw my bus attendant, I hugged her, I cried. I really did miss Mr. James. Mr. James was a really big part of my life. And I will just say, I'll miss you, Mr. James. And I hope you're proud of me on how far I am now. But on the bright side of that, it was a wake up call I needed. I was like, what are you doing, man? This is your senior year. You need to get your stuff together. And I went up to my teachers. I made up my grades. And on May of 2025, I graduated high school. Everyone was so proud of me. And also in 2025, I hit 200 subs, and then 300, eventually 400 subscribers. 2025 was my big year. It was the year of me. And that is a quote from one of my favorite shows, The Middle. And then I ended up meeting other clock collectors such as Decor Clocks, Clock 1010, Kasoon, The Ray 2009, Clocks 2009, and Clocks 101. And I loved Clocks 101's videos. I remember watching him when I was little, and I was like, wow, this guy is so cool. It was awesome. And then eventually, this is when I'm going to start talking about Lydia again. Around that time, me and Lydia started gaining feelings for each other. We both gotten out of really nasty relationships, and we started gaining feelings for each other. She called me one day and she's like, I want you to be my boyfriend. And I said, absolutely, in a blink of an eye. And me and her started dating. And I just want to say I love Lydia very, very, very much. And I also want to say I love y'all guys very much. I love y'all very much. I am at 500 subscribers right now, and I want to thank y'all for that. Thank you for 500 subscribers. This is a big part of my life. I almost want to cry right now because I never knew I would get that much subscribers. Thank you guys so much for this. Thank y'all for 500 subscribers. It's awesome.